Hi guys, so we'll be looking at a program to swap two numbers using functions. For this we have to remember certain terms. First is the ampersand operator, which is used to specify reference or address. If you have a simple variable int a, ampersand a will be specifying the address of a or the reference of a. Next is asterisk. This, when you prefix in front of a variable, let's say int star p or int asterisk p, this p variable has the ability to accept an address. When that is done, once you use star p in an execution, like in a statement, star p refers to the value inside the address which it is referring to. This p, when in declaration, means it has the capacity to hold an address. When you use star p in a statement like a plus star p or star p is equal to 1, something like that, when you use asterisk or star before the variable name, it refers to the value which is stored inside the address location. Okay. So, for swapping two numbers using function, we have to use the parameter passing technique of call by reference, meaning we have to pass the reference or the address of the variable. So, if this was my main function and I have my two variables a and b which I am indenting to swap, I will take the input through scanf. I will print the variable once to show what are the values before swapping. I'll call the swap function, then I'll print the variables after swapping. So the swap function, when I call, it is called by reference, meaning you have to pass the reference of A and reference of B, meaning the address of A and B is being passed to the function as parameters. Now on the accepting side, I need a variable which is prefixed by an asterisk, which can accept these addresses which is being passed. So star p and star q are two variables which has a capacity of accepting the address of a and b. Then we have the logic for swapping two numbers using a third variable. The logic is, if you, let's say we had a and b as two variables and you wanted to swap, you will have a temporary variable t. You will write t is equal to a is equal to b is equal to t. This is the common statement for swapping two variables using a third variable. Using this logic inside this, we will be doing it as, let's take a third variable t. T is equal to the value of the first variable. For value is specified by asterisk in front of the p. Next, the first variable holds the value of the second variable. So star p is equal to star q. Next, the second variable gets the value which is passed to the temporary variable separately. So t is equal to star p is equal to star q is equal to t. We have swapped. Now once this has happened, I'll again print the variables a and b to show the swapping has actually taken place. Let's see how this executes. I'll have it placed here. Okay. So a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 20. Now let's say a has an address of 100 and b has an address of 200. This is just for the sake of doing the swapping of two numbers called by reference. We are using these address. So a gets a value of 20, b gets a value of 20, a gets a value of 10, b gets a value of 20, and printing is done. 10 and 20 is being printed on your console. Now swap a and b. Swap is being called. The address of a is passed to a variable p. So there is a variable p which has the capacity of storing addresses. Let's give that the value of 100. Now this 100 P is sort of attached over here to A. Now star Q gets the value of ampersand B, meaning address of B is passed to a variable which has Q, which can store the address. Q gets the value of 200 and Q is sort of attached to this variable B. So once we have understood that logic, let's get rid of this extra things. And this is the thing. P is attached to A and Q is attached to B. Now let's take a third variable T. Now T is equal to star P. So like I told you, P has a capacity of only storing the address. So when you put star P, it goes to the value stored inside that address. So what is the value stored inside the address? 110. So T gets the value of 10. Now star P is equal to star Q, meaning the value inside the address 100 is supposed to get the value inside the address 200. So this value changes to 20. Now the star Q is equal to T. The value stored inside the address 200 is supposed to get the value of T, meaning this will become 10. Now once this is done, it comes to this printf, where when you print A and B, it prints as 20 and 10 and the swapping has occurred. So this is called by reference. If you were to simply pass it without this ampersand and without this asterisk symbols, the changes would not have reflected in A and B and you would have still got 10 and 20. We'll see this in the code. So move on to the code of swapping two numbers using functions. I have int A, B. I am going to ask my user for the values of A and B. So /n, enter A and B. Scanf %d for two values, so ampersand A, ampersand B, and I'm gonna print the elements before swapping. So /n A is equal to before swapping A is equal to put %d over there, comma, B is equal to put %d over there, and the first value is supposed to be A, second value is supposed to be B. Now we call the swap function passing the address of A and the address of B, and I'll print the same statement and change this to after swapping A is equal to and B. So in my swap void swap, I'll have int asterisk P, int asterisk Q, and I'll have int T as a third variable, and the process of swapping. T is equal to asterisk P is equal to asterisk Q, asterisk Q is equal to T. So I'll run the program. Enter A and B, 10 space 20. Before swapping, A is 10, B is 20. After swapping, A is 20, B is 10. If we had not put this over here, if it was just a pass by value and these asterisks was also not there, it would have been a call by value. You will see that the changes made inside the function will not reflect anything made in the main program. Enter A and B, 10 space 20. See, before swapping A is equal to 10 and 20. After swapping also A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 20. So that is why we needed those asterisks over there. We need the ampersand over here and we need the asterisk marks over here to pass the address so that all these variables passed will occupy the same memory location, and the swapping actually takes place in memory through call by reference. I'll run the program once again. Enter A and B 10 space 20 before swapping and after swapping. Thank you.